Welcome back to Broda GP. This is episode 17, and we have an amazing race to talk about. We're here to cover the Misano round of the MotoGP season. If you haven't watched it yet, just pause the episode right now and go check it out. So we're going to get right into it. Kevin, Everett are here with us. No Dennis tonight. I'm Robert, as always. All right, guys. What was your most surprising incident for the entire race? Go.
Lorenzo.
Everett said Lorenzo. Why?
He crashed.
So
I don't actually find that surprising at all, dude. As soon as I saw that it was raining, I knew some fucking shenanigans were happening with him. That dude is psyched out when it comes to rain nowadays. Ever since that 1 year at Assen, he just can't handle it.
So to your point, the whole mindfuck of it was that they put the slicks back on, and he thought it was gone, and so he went for it, and the reality is he probably shouldn't have yet.
Well, but that's not what he said. He pretty much said that he went all red mist because Scott Redding passed him, and I don't blame him.
Yeah,
it's Scott Redding.
He went red mist because the dude who crashes and rides like crazy flew past him going fast, and instead of worrying about his own race, he figured he must be doing something wrong because Redding passed him, which is a sweet compliment to Redding. Right, and so he started hauling ass, and he crashed.
But that's kind of my point. He got on the slicks that he thought he'd be invincible on. He saw Redding go by. He said, "Well, if he can do it, I can do it." The reality was he wasn't up to temp. Something wasn't there, and he just simply couldn't do it, right? And so then he threw it away.
Yeah,
right, but
it was obvious because Redding had been on the slick tires for considerably more laps than Jorge did because Jorge crashed right on the outlap, so his tires were definitely warmer. And we know that Jorge takes considerably different lines than everyone. Like,
right, so the dry line is going to be way different for him.
Yeah, like the Honda kind of goes straight for the apex, and Jorge kind of takes a sweeping line. So it's very likely that he actually kind of caught the edge of the water or the damp track on the outside when he was kind of going in on corner entry. I'm not like, as I was watching the race, I was cheering for Rossi to make like a good tactical move, and then he didn't, and then Jorge came in first, and then I wouldn't say I was super surprised that Jorge went down, but it was still shocking. Like, I still jumped out of my seat, and that was fucking.
I don't think that your statement that Rossi didn't make a good tactical move is true. I think he made a great tactical move. He waited just long enough that when Lorenzo.
Of course you would. He stayed out 1 or 2 laps later than he should have.
No,
he didn't even think about Rossi. I mean, he didn't even think about Lorenzo. He thought about himself, and he thought, okay, now I need to go in my tires. I mean, they were chunked, man.
They had been chunked since he pitted.
I have a hard time thinking he wasn't thinking about Lorenzo. I think he was only thinking about Lorenzo.
I
don't disagree, but we're splitting hairs on how he was thinking about it. He was thinking, I'm ahead. If he goes in and I stay out 1 more lap, that's the gamble. It wasn't, if I stay out longer, it's going to suck Lorenzo in and he's going to get screwed, though, right?
Yeah. I think he thought if he stayed out, Lorenzo would stay out.
Which worked until a point, right? Because Marquez pitted 2 or 3 laps sooner than he did, actually. Yeah, 8.
Right, and also Lorenzo did not go in when his pit board went in, and Rossi saw his pit board; it's next to his, and he thought
you're right. But watching the race, they were even saying they're basically pegged at each other because of the championship, right? So if and being in front, if Rossi had gone first, Lorenzo would have gone in.
Absolutely.
If Rossi had passed it, Lorenzo could have gone in. But even Lorenzo knew that he was staying with Rossi no matter what. So,
and also, if Rossi goes in while leading, he's the barometer for Lorenzo. He's going to come in behind him,
Agreed.
And they're going to have a similar. So that's the thing. Lorenzo went out and got a shitty barometer. He thought, "Yep, I'm going to take the barometer from the guy who's crashing so hard. He's choosing to ride a satellite Ducati next year instead." And he was like, "Oh, that guy's going fast, gotta go." But if Rossi had come in, Lorenzo would have gone the same pace as Rossi until their tires came up, and then probably would have passed him and gone on to win the race.
But Kev, you have to remember, in all of your Rossi fanboyness, that
That's a lot.
Rossi could never have planned for Redding to be the guy that came back and have that effect or influence on a guy like Lorenzo.
True.
Right? He had no idea. So all he did was he realized my tires are getting squirrely. I'm coming in, or remind me here, right? Lorenzo came in the lap before, right?
Yeah, so Lorenzo went in and Rossi was still out. So
That's
Lorenzo
exactly
finally
it, right?
Lorenzo finally did make the decision to go in. So he went in before Rossi did, but he was behind
Right.
when he went in.
Right. So the reality is, Rossi never really mind fucked him in that way. Rossi just did his thing and was like, you know what, I'm gonna stay out, and he didn't follow him. To my point,
Well,
that was the risk of being in front.
Rossi
Then
was pulling a mindfuck for like the 5 laps beforehand because he was.
Oh yeah, before that, because he stayed out, even though his team was telling him to come in. To your point, yeah, absolutely. But my point is Rossi could have never planned for him to crash the way he did, and for Redding or whoever it might have been to be able to suck Lorenzo in and disrupt him that much. The reality is Lorenzo made a mistake. It's that simple.
And I think that Rossi was trying to force Jorge into a mistake on the wets when they were still. That's why
I would agree with that.
Absolutely,
I would agree with that statement. Yeah.
Mistake then, because if Jorge hadn't have crashed, then Rossi would have lost to him no matter what.
And probably by a decent number of positions based on how long he had to stay out to get back in.
Yeah, I don't like it. I think Jorge would have been like at best in 3rd position. I don't think he would have been able to beat Bradley. But he probably would have been able to beat Redding because he would have had the extra lap.
I would agree.
Redding flew by Baz. I have a feeling that Rossi could have beaten Baz as well to 4th position if he had tried. So you got to imagine that they kind of both would have come up on him. And then, that first out lap, Jorge would have gained maybe 5 seconds on Rossi at most, being on the dry tires compared to the wet. So they wouldn't have been too far apart. It would have probably been less than 5 seconds, but it still would have been enough between maybe the difference between 3rd and 5th or 3rd and 4th.
Which obviously would have been which would have been a minute change instead of the massive, whatever it was, 23-point swing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so that's exactly it, right? And that's what Rossi and all his experience already had calculated. Kev, you can't take it away from the guy. As much as I may be not the biggest Rossi fanboy, I really respect what I'm seeing this year. But the guy is still the most intelligent guy on the grid. I don't care how.
He's not the fastest rider.
No.
Well, and
Jorge just
think about it, right?
Last week.
Well, Rossi would have been perfectly fine with the two of them being dead last.
Right.
Together. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to suck this fucking dumbass in with me the whole way. And he did. And then Lorenzo finally listened to his team or realized my tires are shit and this is a game and he is tricking me and I am getting sucked in. This is, he was thinking it. And then he got on the slicks and Rob, it. You've raced, I've raced, and he's like, all right, I'm on the slicks. Rossi's still out. This is my chance to make up some ground. Yep. Oh, and then this Redding guy, fuck this guy. I'm definitely faster than him. I should be going faster. So he went out there, and he just made bad decisions. And
the second race in a row in which a guy was thinking someone else was going too fast, and that's a problem. Because Petrucci just said the other day that he was slowing down. Remember to Petrucci, because he was going so much faster than Rossi, he thought something was wrong.
Yep.
Right. It's amazing how these guys question that, right?
Right, like Lorenzo's the 2-time champ. He's won 5 races, and he's beat Casey Stoner and Rossi for those titles. And a guy who's never had a podium before comes by, and that trips him out. Why is he even caring about Scott Redding?
Yeah, and and he had the most pace pretty much the whole weekend in the dry too.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It's really, it's really interesting when you analyze all this down to that level of detail. And to Kevin's point, as much as I hate it, Rossi is so smart. And it's not that he expected that once he switched tires. The fact that he sucked him in that deep just wasn't enough.
He's just trying to rattle him.
Yeah, it just rattled him a little. Right.
Yeah, he sucked him in on the wets, and it carried over onto the dries, and just kind of it didn't force that mistake, but it definitely made it easier for Jorge to make that mistake. And
right.
It's just
My biggest surprise was that the announcers are still continuing to start every race with, and we can't discount Danny Pedrosa.
Really?
I thought he'd have a good year, but then he just,
He has only twice. Scott Redding has half as many podiums as Danny Pedrosa has.
Yeah, but you look at a guy like Pedrosa. He's been doing it. Let's pause on that. He's been doing it for long enough. He's all banged up, beat up. He's got a Honda Repsol ride. I mean, he's got all this money. Why is he good? I mean, you saw him kind of show that flash of brilliance a little bit earlier when he came back, and you thought, all right, he might do it. And it's almost like he's gone, wait a second, why the fuck do I care? I have so much money. I'm not going to win. The cards are against me. Why? Why do I care? And you almost see him just kind of realize it's not worth it. It's weird.
I mean, he's still kind of in that recovery mode, and we've now had 2 wet races in a row. So, and those are always toss-ups, right? So I would.
But not really toss-ups. We talked about this last time. Taking out of the mix, the rain last time wasn't any different than the normal results the years have had.
Yeah.
Misano is the exception because it was a complete just wet,
it was a clusterfuck. And Jorge's
dry,
right.
wet, dry. Yeah.
Right. Jorge's right too. Even though he's kind of a bitchy complainer, those rules kind of got ridiculous when it's dry, wet, dry. They're changing multiple times and multiple bikes. Like it was crazy.
I thought it was pretty cool, frankly. But
no, I'm not complaining. Yeah. But I'm not racing it. So you know what I mean.
As a fan, it was probably one of the best things we've seen in years.
Dude, Loris Baz was leading the race on the shittiest bike.
Right.
Second shittiest bike. Sorry.
Well, wait. And Jorge is complaining about going dry, wet, dry, and yet Bradley did the whole race on slicks and got second.
Right. He just did the whole race in the dry.
And I'm pretty sure that was a mistake by Bradley because It really seemed like he meant to.
Wait! I thought he came in, but he only came in for like a lap, and then he said, "I don't want the wets again," and then I went back to the slick.
No, he stayed out on the whole bike because he'd stayed out too long by the time it was raining, and he said he just committed to it. He never pitted once.
Nope,
I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't notice that detail. All right, that's to your point. I love Bradley Smith. That guy is awesome. Get him on a factory bike.
What I know about Bradley Smith is he's actually really good at explaining what happened.
Oh, that's why he still has a ride.
Yeah, he's really good at when you do interviews with Emmett and stuff and Motor Matters, he's really good at explaining what the hell was going on.
Even his interviews on the feed, like he just gives that little bit of extra information that's not like standard rider bullshit. And it's just like, oh, like this is actually interesting. Like, thanks for telling us, Bradley.
Yeah, but the funny thing, Rob, is how many people pick up on that, right? People that have raced or really like Kev pretty hardcore into paying attention to detail.
That's true. I wonder if the everyday fan kind of like catches that he's more information.
We commonly forget that most people don't give a shit about that. They just want to hear, oh yeah, it was great. I tried. It was hard. Fucking kept it up on 2 wheels. I changed. It was fun. Thanks.
Well, hey, we're not talking about NASCAR here. Come on. No.
Trust me. There's plenty of fucking average Joe fans that don't give a shit.
Bradley's slowest lap on slicks without pitting was actually slower than Marquez's slowest lap with pitting.
Wow.
That's
how slow he was going.
Wait. Break that down.
So including the pit, Marquez was still faster than Bradley.
Yeah, so on lap 9.
He still completed the lap faster overall, but the aggregate time of the lost time on the reins, Bradley Smith still eventually surmounted that with his slicks, is what you're saying.
Correct. So Bradley's slowest lap was on lap 9, and he did a 2:18. Marquez's slowest lap was when he pitted to switch from wets to dries, and he did a 2:10.
Whoa, that's a big difference. 8 seconds.
Yeah, so I mean, because the rain time was like mid to high 140s. Like I think Rossi was doing like 146s when he on that lap that he stayed out after Jorge pitted, but then the dry time was like 34s. So like if you combine those two together and you add in like the 30 seconds or something for pitting, and you get Marquez's 2:10 time. But then you compare that to Bradley's, like, I'm on slick tires and it's pouring, and you get a 2:18. He actually
That's
did.
crazy.
He did a 2:30. Like his 2:18 was by far the worst. He did 2:06 the lap before and a 2:13 the lap after. So
refresh my memory. How many laps did Marquez run on the wets before he came back in for the slicks?
11.
5, 4,
11. 11 wet.
So he wasted something like four laps on the wet tires, where Bradley Smith was already starting to recoup that time or something like that, right?
Right.
Yeah, it looks like. So Bradley. No, by lap 6, Bradley had already been going slower by a lot. Okay, so then they pitted. Marquez pitted on lap 7, and he did a 1 minute 39 on lap 6. On lap 7, Bradley did a 1 minute 47, so he was already like 10 seconds down. If not.
How much time are we taking away from his cool little bike to bike jump versus the get off?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's pretty. It works, man. Don't knock it. That thing works.
I'm not knocking. Fucking Marquez is a beast. I'm not knocking it. That's one of the things his team kept doing that was innovative. It's funny how little things like that are nice little innovations.
That's good for 2 or 3 seconds. Easily.
So much faster.
You know what?
Yeah,
What's something funny though? So Rossi's changes were actually pretty slow. Like he steps off. He
totally slow.
Yeah. And then he steps.
He almost doesn't give a shit. He's so nonchalant.
He doesn't. He's like, I'm too old and moving this fast.
Yeah, go do a video of that shit.
But so Marquez's pit lap on lap 18 was 2 seconds slower than Rossi's pit lap on lap 21. So even though Rossi takes like a really lackadaisical time to switch bikes, he was still faster. So he must have.
That's only because Dorna secretly. That's only because Dorna secretly doesn't limit his
rev limiter. Yeah, Rossi's rev limiter is 5 miles per hour faster. You know it. Conspiracy theory. Put that in the books now.
It's so not enough. 2 whole seconds.
Wait. How are you analyzing that? Are you doing it based on the prior lap time and the next lap time and then taking the delta?
Well, no. So it's both. It's like it's the time to get into. It's the time to cross the line, and then.
So it shows pit entry time versus. I mean, it actually shows you pit time.
No, it literally just shows you lap time. So
that's the difference, right? Is Rossi might be gaining that time on the actual laps, right? 1 second on the lap prior, 1 second on the lap before or after.
Exactly.
I mean, make no mistake. Marquez is pitting way faster. At least from what I can see.
Marquez, he kind of had roasted his tires and he was falling back from Jorge and Rossi, so he was doing 1 minute 49s before he pitted, whereas Rossi was still doing 46s. So that very well could be the difference.
So pause there.
Yeah.
So I think we all noticed that in the race. We were like, okay, these 3 guys are together. Marquez, you look like you're getting kind of squirrely. He realized, hey, my tires are fried. The other guys knew their tires were fried, just less than his. So he said, hey, fuck this. I'm getting good tires again, and I'm coming in. He got his tires, so that really tells you a lot about the Honda versus the Yamaha on acceleration, right? I mean, that's where you're ripping up your tires is coming out of the turns and.
Well, that's been the talk the whole year is that the engine is just way more aggressive, and they up the revs on it. It's just it does not have the smoothness and the consistency of acceleration, and that's why Marquez is riding that thing particularly well, because Marquez don't give a fuck about aggression. You know what I mean? That's his style anyway. But someone like Danny, who rides a lot smoother and more 250 style, is just simply not getting along with it.
Marquez just whacks up in the throttle out of a turn, right?
Right.
Well,
Speaking of that, let's talk about Pirro.
Don't let him do anything but that. But no,
he loosens them up then, right? I mean, he has to. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, so here's the thing, Rob. You know this too. Again, and sorry, Kev, I'm gonna just keep on using these racer experiences. I got a decent natural knack for riding a motorcycle. I'm not the fastest guy out there, but I got a decent natural knack. I'm sure you do too. You have to mentally tell yourself, open the throttle a half a second early. You're being a bitch. Open the throttle. Yep. These guys are way better at that. I mean, they can ride based on feel, and they still do that.
And they get to open a full second sooner because they know.
Let's get one thing straight. I have never had to tell myself you're being a bitch.
Well, then you haven't raced a motorcycle hard enough. I don't think. No offense, bud.
No, the last time Kev rode a bike was in Africa, so.
I mean, you know what I'm saying though, right, Rob? You come out of a turn and you're like, and you're trying to go faster. You know how you break down a track. You look at all the turns. You go, okay, here's my 3 slow turns. Let's work on those. Standard fucking Yamaha champion school, whatever Freddie Spencer shit, right? Is isolate your slow ones. Yeah. So isolate your slow turns. Isolate the where you can make up the time. These guys do it in a much more serious sense, and you know for a fact that a guy like Marquez is looking at it like, I could open the throttle a little bit earlier on every turn. To Kev's point, it's like the guy is. It's just, it makes you wonder. It's like where could he have opened it? But he's never high siding or anything out of the turns. We're not seeing that kind of error. So to Kev's point, the electronics and that acceleration that makes you, they got it dialed, man.
Well, but they don't.
I think for him too, where he's making up the time on everyone else, is the one thing the electronics really don't have right now is
brakes.
Entry. He's just going, and that's why Rossi. It's almost kind of funny where he's catching back up because that was always his forte, and now that's again becoming the the most potent weapon.
Well, and the Yamaha has improved that over the past 2 years, so it's really helping. Right. So like Honda lost ground on corner entry, and Yamaha's picked it back up. So it's really close.
Speaking of Misano, you know what rhymes with Misano? Piro.
Do you think there's any chance these teams are doing? Do you think there's any chance these teams are cheating with ABS or anything like that on the braking?
If you had me at, are these teams?
They're cheating, but not with ABS. I mean, well, but they can't, like,
something like that. I mean, something like that. Yeah.
The electronics aren't cheating, right? Like, if anything, you could say the HRC is cheating with their torque ductor, right? Because they have a sensor on the counter shaft that no one else has.
Cheater motor?
Say what?
Cheater motor?
Yeah, Ducati absolutely has a cheater motor, so we don't even need to argue that, and no one even gives a shit. They're like, Ducati, do what you got to do.
No one cares.
So they added winglets, and now Yamaha's copying. You're not even supposed to have that kind of shit anyway.
I got a guy suspended on Barf over a winglet conversation. That was pretty awesome.
Oh,
no way, really?
Yeah.
That's why Rossi did good? You sacrificed. Yeah.
I sacrificed someone else though.
guys, we need to make some plastic carbon fiber like faux winglets and put them on eBay tomorrow.
Oh no, yeah, there's already been discussion about this. I
know, we got to do it,
but I think it could happen. Actually,
more business proposals.
No.
Listeners,
Rob, they're not real carbon fiber. They are plastic molds that you just wrap the carbon fiber vinyl around, and they look like it, dude. And then they have some shitty adhesive, and then people just, dude. Like the Mexicans down in San Jose, where they just slap shit to the side of their fucking car to make it look like they have vents at the side like a Beamer.
Dude, I live in San Diego. I live in San Diego.
You know what I'm talking about then, yeah.
Okay, wait, let's get back.
I have them on my car too, don't worry.
Awesome. Yes. I have a 66 Mustang. It doesn't need winglets.
It needs air intakes.
It needs a lot of things, yeah. No, I mean, it's funny because I think Misano is actually more of a front end track, like especially half of sector 4, like sector 3 and sector 4, where they're slowing down for like turns 11 through 15 or something, right? Like I really think Marquez was losing a ton of time through that sector towards the end, and that's where Rossi and Jorge were able to save some front tire. And yeah, and to your point, that's exactly why he pulled in. He pretty much said like, "Oh, I'm losing 2 seconds a lap now. There's no point in me staying out. I'll take the chance."
Well, and to your point though, that's in completely dry, not green conditions, and that track was not that way, right? So your front end feel and confidence is going to go down. So you couldn't push the limits the way you maybe normally would have.
Yeah,
so
but I mean,
I think you're right. Traditionally, yes, but maybe not in that circumstance.
No, I mean, even in like by lap 16 when Rossi and Jorge were starting to pull away, like they were gaining quite a bit of time there. Like their lap times were about matched around like lap 15 or 16, but Rossi and Jorge were half a second faster in the final sector and like a quarter of a second faster in in the third sector. So the Yamahas were gaining quite a bit of time in those sectors where the track is really front end dependent. And it was kind of crazy because that's exactly what the feed was showing. They were showing the front tire and how it was chunking. Normally like the last Moto2 race where we've seen people run, wet tires in the dry, like they always show the rear tire and they show it throwing the rubber off. This was the first time where I've seen them actually show the front tire. And it was kind of nuts because, when you don't have confidence in the front end because your tire is melting off, like you've got to be Valentino Rossi to still put in faster laps than everyone else. That's freaking nuts.
He has big balls. There's no arguing that.
It's true.
I just think it goes down to he's not the fastest guy in the field, but he's the most veteran guy. I mean, this dude rode 500cc bikes with no traction control in the rain. You know what I mean? Like his experience level for change, and you saw it last year at Phillip Island when changing conditions suit him because, I mean, dude was winning races in 500cc before Marquez had ever raced.
Yeah, before
you know what I mean?
Even on a full GP bike, exactly.
Right.
The fanboy comes out.
No, but I mean that's not what I'm saying. Marquez,
it's a good point.
Marquez and Lorenzo are faster than Rossi. Rossi's not the fastest motorcycle racer in the world. He is the most experienced. He is basically the most experienced active professional motorcycle racer.
In that class, especially, right? On top of all that, in that class.
Well, he hasn't raced a superbike, but in all other classes that have ever existed for racing, he's the
there's no comparison. I mean, you can ask any of these guys the difference. If you get an interview with Cal Crutchlow and say, hey, compare World Superbike to GP, and he'll say, dude, it's like racing a 600 versus 1,000 in a club race. I mean, it's not even close.
Right, and so
it wants to rip your arms off.
And he's had 2 races in a row. It's funny. Lorenzo closes the gap to him, right? It ties the points and takes the theoretical lead with more wins, and then instantly there's 2 rain races with weird conditions, and now he's 23 points up.
And Kevin did not get suspended on that one.
I know.
Yeah.
God, if I got suspended, he'd be like 30 points up.
Oh yeah. He would have won the race, and Jorge would have crashed both times.
Yeah, exactly.
God, Kev, why are you doing your part, man?
So, I mean, deeper in the field on that race, that was the coolest race I've seen in a long time.
Kevin wants to talk about Michele Pirro.
God, I was when he qualified 4th or something, I was fucking straight.
Top Ducati.
We were all super bummed when he couldn't get on the grid. Yeah, he had that technical. It was just shameful. It's like, Ducati, this guy is your guy who could be
he could be a racer.
Yeah, no, I mean he is. He just is. So the local guy, and Rob knows, Jeff Tigert. I mean, that guy is amazing, and he basically said, hey, I'm done. I'm going to go be a Honda test rider and not screw up a good thing. Pirro is a smart guy. He's taken the career as a GP test rider. That is the dream job. You do not throw that away even to go race GP. I mean, at the end of the day, all the guys that finish GP want that job, right? Look at Stoner. Look at everybody else. That's the dream job. So I think to that point, he finally goes and does his thing, and it's just disappointing.
He's being the test rider for the factory that seems to offer the most support to everyone. Right, because Ducati's
right, like he's a test rider that has ridden more races. I mean, God, how many races did he ride that year that Ben Spietho's problems? He had like 8 races that year or something. Like he nearly rides a full-time schedule because he rides for Ducati.
Yeah, and I mean, this year he's racing CIV.
He just raced World Tour
Superbike Championship. Like he just raced in Superbike and he's actually going to continue to race for them, I'm pretty sure, because Giuliano's still out, and he will likely win the CIV championship, and he probably has another test or 2 for Ducati on the Michelins, and he might even do another wild card with them. Like
it really went to what Everett is always saying though, like, God, imagine if he didn't have a problem. He kind of had a pretty good result, and we're talking about a guy who's a test rider, right?
But that's all. My point is, it's not because he couldn't get there. It's by choice. The guy's like, who knows? Maybe he's got a family and kids, and he's like, yeah, I'll just be a test rider. I'll just
Well,
I
remember he basically took the job because he was on the CRT Honda for Grassini, and he just realized that was a path to nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was a path to struggle and trial and tribulation with no money, and unless you're and I think Alicia Spargo is the only guy that turned one of those CRT bikes into a factory ride. You know what I mean? And
Can we talk about that same sort of that track now? Because it seems like a lot of riders are doing that now. They're getting on a CRT bike, and then their first outlet, like actually a good ride, is to Ducati.
right.
Because Loris Baz is doing that. I don't know if you've heard the silly season rumors, but he'll likely be riding on the Avintia bike alongside Hector Barbera.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care about that, but okay.
Well, but I mean, Baz is matching Barbera now in the Open Championship on arguably worse equipment because
No, I agree. That's my point. Is though it's not. I think
It's still the third tier Ducati.
yeah.
I'm a huge Baz fan. I would love to see that guy get on something viable and like.
Well, I actually
holy
think
shit.
when he gets on that Ducati, and I know it's the Avintia, but the one thing about Baz is dude just doesn't fit on the bikes, right? But the Ducati is kind of the biggest, longest one of those bikes.
Well, yeah, only because he'll be on the GP14. If he got on the GP15, he would make it look like a Moto3 bike once again.
Right.
But yeah, there actually might be 8 Ducatis on the grid next year.
Right, which is insane.
Which is so
I thought no. I thought they were going to prevent that. I thought the new rule said that you could only have two and two and maybe 2 and 4 or something like that.
Not until
8.
2017. In 2016, anything goes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be the factory Ducatis. It'll be the Pramac team, the Avinti team, and now Aspar is trying to line up Ducatis as well. And even Forward Racing is pretty much saying like, oh, I could have Ducatis or Aprilias because they lost their Yamaha contract. They will not be on the grid with Yamahas next year. So most likely they'll be going for Aprilias. And then I still keep hearing that.
And you know what's funny is Aspar started as Ducati.
With Carl, right?
Right.
No, with Hector.
He's always been on his own crew. But hold on a second.
No, I thought Carl rode
never been on Aspar. He's been on Ducati, but it was definitely not an Aspar Ducati. It was always a Cardion Ducati.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
So hold on though. My question was going to be about Forward. Forward has had their issues this year, so Forward's going to be a team still next year. But who's technically owning and running it then?
So the corruption charges are being dropped is the big rumor. Yeah,
Damn.
And so basically they said that since if the corruption charges are dropped, the major charges, pretty much all the sponsors are coming back.
Yeah, they've got like 80% of them back, and then essentially the guy that owns Forward or whatever is saying that Carmelo will likely give him his spot back. So Carmelo has the final say, and I mean I don't know, like if Carmelo can't fill the grid otherwise, he'll probably give it back to Forward, but at the same time I'm sure there's someone else like waiting in the wings wanting that spot. And if
I would never sponsor that team after this whole fiasco. Ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's why LCR is only going to run one bike next year because their sponsors like in jail for corruption charges too. But yeah, I don't know. Innocent,
right, and yet Leopard, right? And yet Team Leopard with the energy drink no one's ever seen is expanding in the Moto 2.
At least it's not a Colombian drug lord.
Yeah, exactly. Or the African like warlord that Sete rode for 1 year.
Oh, that's what I meant. That's right. It was an African warlord. Terrible. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird to see it come full swing. Like everyone was on Hondas in the late 2000s, and there were like 8 or 9 of them on the grid. And next year there might be 8 or 9 Ducatis. It's gonna be nuts.
One thing, it's like you said, people are starting to come around that. Like I feel bad for Carl, right? Like he was riding that Aprilia. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was kind of going nowhere. And then they announced the Honda production. He was thinking, shit. here's my chance. Supposedly going to be a solid bike that we can own and upgrade and yada, 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 and I can get in on the Honda fold, and it's just a total, like, everyone's starting to realize the Honda doesn't care about anyone but Repsol.
Yep. Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
even a little.
Nicky Hayden did the same thing, right? Like he was worried about going to some other bike, and then he got the Honda, and he was super excited, and it turned out to be.
Yeah.
And then Aleix
That was the
Espargaro,
most tragic thing ever.
I know, right? Aleix Espargaro was the opposite. Like he was super bummed that he didn't get the Honda because he had switched teams, but then the forward
Right.
Yamaha turned out to be amazeballs for him. So
Yeah. Isn't that so great? And it parlayed into a factory ride for him with Suzuki.
yeah,
Which,
and I mean,
he's
won
been a little
bike
tragic this
handle.
year, but
Yeah. He
well,
Suzuki's kind of having the same year that Ducati's kind of having, right? Like they start
right,
off
start out
reasonably
strong.
well, yeah, and then
Yep.
the other like the top two factories, Yamaha and Honda, really just push the limit. And that's something that we see every single year, right? Like a team can put in the development in the off season and they can be kind of surprising at the first couple of tracks, but then
So
you can't, like, unless you're Honda and Yamaha and you're getting $65 million a year to develop the bike, like you can't put in that effort. And
you think they spend that much? I don't think they spend that much.
no, it was yeah, God, it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago that Moto Matters published what Carmelo was paying the factories, and it was something like, yeah, like Honda was getting 65, Yamaha was getting like 40, Ducati was getting 30. And million euros, and then it was like nothing to the rest of the teams. So those numbers
I
have likely come down because that was like in the 800cc era when shit stuff was crazy expensive. And
I thought so that's I thought they were getting far less money. I mean, it's not like it's F1. It's not $300 million for Ferrari and F1 or anything like that. I thought it was $10 or $12 million was their budget roughly, aside from salaries and stuff like that. But I mean, in terms of running the team, paying for the upkeep of the bikes and the travel and all that, it was like 10 to 12 million for Repsol Honda. Yamaha was like 10, and then it kind of went down from there.
Well, I mean, that's also subsidies for everything else, including the satellite teams and and all the other bikes that they're paying for. So,
Okay.
I mean, back in 2008, it wasn't, the structure wasn't the same as it is now. So they were definitely getting a lot more money than 10 million euros. But I mean, today I have no idea. So no one has released any of that information recently. And we know in 2017 that Dorna is going to cut the factory budget significantly and support the satellite and the third tier teams even more. So, I mean, it's kind of like, on one side, I wish that there was more of a tiered payout based on finishing positions.
I think it should almost be reverse, right? You finish first, you get the least. You finish
You
last,
like
you
an
get the
NFL
most.
style parity where the worse you do, the more opportunity you get. But
yeah, but you never want to justify someone doing crappy, Like there needs to be a middle ground of some sort.
Well, it's not capitalism, right? But I mean, at the same time, you look at. So that's the thing, is the way you get.
What capitalism? Where's Berto?
You want parity in something like a racing series, right? You want a good show,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like BSB said, look, if you get pole or you're a top 5 guy and you're willing to go to the back of the field and you end up winning the race, we'll give you an extra 10 grand, and we'll give you 2 grand if you just go to the back of the field, just to make the show better.
Well, I mean, that's why
I thought it was cool.
But that's why the subsidies are equal for tires and travel, right? Like everyone's getting that.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it right. Honda has more money than Cardion AB or Aventina, or, well, maybe the AB is not the right example. But I mean, that's not fair to take Yamaha and Honda and give them the same thing as everybody else.
But that's what's changing. They're saying that those rules that happen are that the bikes are only worth a certain amount of money. You can't they can't charge a team more than this.
That's my point. So that is the good thing for the average fan, is we're going to see better racing here in the next few years. That's the good thing.
Oh yeah,
Right, which is funny because this year we're seeing some crazy good races. I mean, this is a hell of a season this year.
I don't know. We're seeing a lot of Rossi winning. I don't know.
Get at it.
Wait, Kev. The best one is I finally predict Rossi on the podium.
Right.
And then he's off the podium.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Everett's basically texted me his picks every single race that includes Rossi off the podium. He finally chooses the podium to be on it, and he's not on the podium.
God damn it, Everett. I knew it was your fault.
Owned.
That's
Too good.
terrible. Go back, man. Just do us a favor here. Go back to what you were doing.
Isn't that was too funny? I genuinely pick who I think it's gonna be, and I'm like, wait, no, Ross is gonna, he's gonna do it. And then it's this weirdest fucking race ever, where it's three people who, Marquez you expect on there somewhere, but like the other two guys, you're like, what just happened?
Oh man, and
Loris Baz was almost on there. He was leading the race.
I still can't get over the fact that Redding crashed and remounted
and so gone.
Redding crashed out of a race he got a podium on.
Yeah. I mean, he crashed
man.
in like one of the slowest corners, which is nice, but he's still.
Oh yeah, the other thing I'm really surprised is that Jack Miller crashed.
Sure you are.
Dude, Jack fucking Miller. What a fucking rook.
Did you see? So there was a report this last week that that Shuei Nakamoto is not thrilled with Miller's attitude.
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah.
So apparently Miller's
surprise.
Yeah, I know, right? Like you hire like the youngest kid ever into GP, or well, maybe not. but he pulls the standard like 16-year-old attitude on you of like, oh, I'm not feeling this. Come on.
Of the dude, what'd you think was gonna happen?
Yeah.
Right, you hired a teenager with a mullet from Australia to skip the intermediate class and go straight to your class, and it's not working out the way you expected. What the fuck did you expect?
Yeah. Oh man.
Part of me wondered if they signed Jack Miller to keep him from going to Yamaha in the future.
We talked about that. We talked about that practically.
Yeah, that's age old. Yeah.
I mean, it's a possibility, but at the same time, though, at this point, I feel like
it's so stupid.
Better off letting him go to Yamaha so that he could screw up their rides.
That's exactly it. Well, no. To your point, Yamaha wouldn't have been that dumb to have signed him that early. They would have made him go up through the feeder class, do his thing. Very, as much as I hate on Pol Espargaro, the kid hasn't done shit, but he was brilliant in Moto 2, right? And so it's not always a good barometer to go all the way from Moto 3 all the way up. It's just like, that's a hell of a gamble and a risk. And to give him like a 3-year deal, he'd be a fool not to take it. And if you're going to be mad at him in year one,
well,
what are you doing?
Danny
what are you doing?
Take it. Danny Kent was offered a 3-year deal with Ducati.
Danny Kent, to your point, is it was a satellite Ducati, which they're kind of like factory Ducatis, but still
is better than the open bike that Miller's riding this year.
Danny Kent knows that a Ducati is not going to lead to success in the long run. That's what Danny Kent knows. He knows he can ride Moto 2. He's going to win his championship this year, get a decent Moto 2 ride next year and the year after. He has a good shot of winning a championship. And here's the funny thing. You guys, I don't know what you know, but the top 3 to 5 guys in Moto 2 probably make more money on salary than the bottom half of the GP grid.
Yeah, but only those guys.
But think about that, right? So Danny Kent goes, I'm going to get paid €1 million to go ride a Moto 2 bike next year, or I can make nothing and go ride GP. There's that to consider too. And politically speaking, it probably will bode well for him to go to Moto 2, and he'll become a better rider. Someone told him the honest-to-God truth is, don't pull a Jack Miller.
Yeah, I mean,
you're gonna fuck yourself.
Jack Miller told him that, and so did Cal Crutchlow.
Yeah,
right.
Jack fucking Miller told him that shit.
No, I think the Jack Miller did like a before the race check-in or whatever, because they do those videos now on the feed, and Jack Miller pretty much just said, "Oh, it's his decision." Like, he didn't. I don't think he tried to tell him either way, but But obviously, it's not working out very well for Miller. Next year, he'll be on better equipment for sure because the open bikes are disappearing. Like, there's no such thing as open anymore next year.
But
Oh,
if it's
talk about
still, but if it's not open, if it's still the same, non-pneumatic valve, no dual clutch
No,
transmission, all
no,
that
they've
stuff,
got
like
pneumatic valves this year. They have pneumatic
what,
valves this year.
fuck you.
yeah.
They
No,
do.
they did. They did that upgrade over last year.
Yeah,
Remember?
Oh,
they
okay.
they got
But
spanked by the Ford Yamaha because Yamaha was giving them, last year's satellite engines, and Honda upgraded their whole entire open program and gave them pneumatic valves, which is why the whole bike is impossible to ride because the electronics are bullshit. They're worthless
yeah,
and they can't
that is
control the
that is exactly it.
Right.
yeah.
Yes, lowest common denominator, the technicians. We've talked about this too, right? There's probably 2 or 3 or 5 top technicians, and the factory teams own them and pay them. And
Yeah.
the sub-tier teams, they get kind of guys that are new to it or
Oh no,
aren't as good at
it's
it or
actually
whatever, right? So there's that, but
it's
that's
actually
that's
worse
still
than
different.
that. It's worse than
Or I'm
that.
sure it's 1 or 2.
There was a Motor Matters article like 2 weeks ago on the differences between the open spec electronics and like what's going to come out for next year, and literally the schemes and the whole architecture of what they're going to use next year and what the factories use this year is significantly more advanced than what the open bikes are using this year. Like we could go buy, like us three could go buy an electronic system that's comparable to the open bikes and just kind of put it on any of our street bikes.
So what you're saying was we could get a sick Pizzazz unit and it would auto-tune and we'd be good to go.
No,
It would be Kanye up in
it
this
wouldn't be
thing,
that
dude.
bad.
Shameless plug for Pizzazz. We're looking for sponsorship dollars next year.
Right, exactly. Hook it up, bro. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I need to build a new race bike, so if anyone wants to help out with that one.
Oh, I know
No.
the guys over there. I can put you in touch with them.
Oh, please do. No,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be that bad. Like it would be the way they described it is the open system right now is reactive. So you have to wait for the tire to spin to see if it's spinning. And the factory system knows already how much torque is available and based on, like the throttle input that the rider gives and provides that input. And so it knows ahead of time. So the reaction is considerably faster, the tire spins considerably less, and the bike just goes forward on the factory bikes. On the open bikes, you kill, if you have to wait 50 milliseconds every corner to figure out whether or not the tire is spinning, you've wasted a tenth every corner. So next year, like we've already talked about this before, next year the open bikes, which are going away, are going to get considerably more advanced electronics, but at the same time, those electronics will require that the factories will put in considerably more effort before they turn the bikes over. It's
Well,
not
that
going to
also bodes well for what we're talking about Baz's move to Avintia, if that's the case, because Avintia is the team that has a Ducati factory technician. They're not futzing around with like B squad dudes. That's a straight from Ducati guy. So if they're more complicated software, that's not a bad move when you think about long term. If you can kind of move up to the junior squad from there because you're already kind of in with the factory technician, as opposed to like Aspar.
Well, what I remember of watching when Carroll was on Ducati was there's a guy that goes, and I told you guys this, that does the rounds after each practice, after each race, that kind of goes and oversees it to make sure that you're like he's like the project manager dash coach kind of guy, like to say, yeah, I validate your data, or you could do this, this, and this. So
What they were saying was this year when
maybe I'm
Avintia
off.
this year when Avintia is running the open software, but while running open software, they have a factory technician, so it's not like they're getting the second. Like when Forward did not have a Yamaha factory technician as their software guy last year when they or this year. But whereas Avintia does, because Ducati was trying to get ahead of the game, just like your Hernandez last year was running open software with the factory team. So those are teams because it's tight knit and so close knit that they're getting factory guys direct help. It's actually a little different from when Carl was on it because at least everyone was kind of factory spec, but this is an open team getting a factory guy.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past, and it's essentially that's been the clear advantage that Avinti Ducati has had over all the other open teams is that they seem to have considerably more factory support, especially for the electronics, than all the other open teams. Because I mean, they've got the most powerful engine of all the open teams for sure, and yet
But wait,
Barbara is still
but
able to manage that with the open software.
that's what I was just about to say, is that doesn't translate to any results though. So it makes you wonder what, I mean, Barber's he's shown over the years that he's relatively fast. There's been a couple times this year he's shown he's fast, but to your point, he's not really shown anything special that should be in line with the differentiation he has with that team,
But I mean,
right?
it's still the same level of electronics, right? It's still the same reactive system that I just described. Like we can't expect him to beat the satellite teams, and he is. I mean, yeah, now with Baz's fourth place, he's 4 or 5 points behind Baz. He's on level with Bautista, and he's destroying all the other open bikes.
Right, and really being on little Bautista is kind of a drag because Bautista's that's a factory team. It's just a
Yeah.
shitty bike. But he's on he's on the third tier year-old bike. I mean, what GP is he on? I don't even know what he's riding, like a 13 or something. You know what I
So
mean?
hold on.
I think he's got the
So wait, so
1.
so let me check here. So you're saying that he's doing well, but the limitation is still the open software versus the satellite bikes.
Right, and what we're saying is, but he's doing the best of the open because he has the factory technician to take best advantage of it. So next year, when the open software is even more complicated, the factory technicians are going to be even more of an asset.
Well, and the open software next year is the software. It's
Because don't forget, last year was when Ducati said, "Oh shit, we'll just give everyone our software," and they had to make factory too because the open teams complained that it was too complicated.
yeah,
Their guys literally couldn't do it, couldn't take advantage of it.
and that's actually not even the level that they're running this year. Like if what Moto Matters just published about the factory software being on a completely different level, like the open software this year is still not as complex as what factory Ducati was offering last year to give to all the open teams. Right? Like Kevin's right. Like the factories or the
Yeah,
open
say that
teams
again real
last year.
quick.
Kev's right. The open teams last
Yeah.
year essentially said, no, we are not taking the software that Ducati just offered. Like they cannot be open. So Dorna made factory too to appease the whole system. And
Right.
and it worked, right? Because that's the parity thing that you were talking about earlier, right? That's the thing that we have in GP that most other racing series don't have is if you don't win, you get to test more, right? And you get more engines. And when your testing gets to be with your actual riders instead of just your test riders. So that's a really nice thing that unfortunately Ducati won't have it next year, but Suzuki and Aprilia will still have it next year. And should anyone like KTM decide to come to the championship, they'll have that whenever they come in as well. And given that you have to score results until those goes away, it provides a serious advantage for you to move up in the field. And with the software, or go ahead.
And now that we've lost all our viewers.
No. Do we have any details on any of the rumors about KTM or any other manufacturers or Aprilia's changes or anything like that?
Yeah, the rumor for KTM is that they're trying to sign Danny Pedrosa. Which
no.
That's the no, okay. That is the legit rumor, and it comes
You're joking, right?
So much that I'm pretty sure it's true. They're trying to sign Danny Pedrosa to as his going away sort of stint in GP.
Good Lord, KTM.
Yeah, Danny is a Repsol rider through and through.
Yeah,
he's starting, he's ending with Honda. He rode his Honda's entire career. They love him, and when he's done, whenever it is, he'll be with Repsol, and he'll get the sweet contract where he, does demonstration laps and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Yeah,
when Stoner wants to go bass fishing.
Yeah, he'll be the Spanish Casey Stoner that ever. Danny has an amazing following. Supposedly, that's what I hear. In the U.S.
Keep in mind, these guys are all about. We've talked about this. They can't even we want to see new riders. I'm tired of seeing Nikki Hayden. I'm tired of seeing certain people that are maybe mid-packs. I can't even think of any names.
Hector Bonnebro, why is he still there?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but the reality is they are household names, and they can't replace the whole crop of those guys overnight, or else nobody will follow the series because they go, I don't know any of these guys. Yeah. I'm over it.
And you've seen that response, and you've seen kind of what happens. Moto 2 kind of lost a chunk of their riders over the course of a 2-year span, and it really feels like in a lot of fans' eyes that series has lost prestige. It's not because those guys aren't any faster, they aren't any slower. They're just as fast, but they're not the household names that were coming up. You know what I mean? Like Moto 2 almost suffers from a dearth of image, not talent.
Yeah, I mean, no one like Zarco has been there for a little while, and he kind of never really, I feel like he hasn't had much of a following. So now that he's winning, everyone's just like, whatever. I guess I won't watch Moto2 that much.
Right. That's exactly it.
Yeah,
so
it's terrible for the championship, even though he's doing an amazing job this year. Funny story about that. He's on last year's chassis, and that's the chassis that Rabat wants and won on last year.
Right.
And Rabat hates the new chassis.
Everyone switched to Kalex, and they talked like, well, they can't supply everyone, so just all the new teams will get last year's bike, and then it turns out it's better because Zarco was riding the Suter.
Yep. Yeah. And now
you know what? You guys are on Moto2 turf, so I got to go to this. I cannot believe that Zarco is getting the cold shoulder. That guy should be on Tech 3 next year.
He's not getting the cold shoulder. He said, "I'm staying in Moto2." He called it. That was it.
No, that makes no sense. He wants to keep doing Moto2 racing.
He said it.
Well, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Come on, Rob. He's not gonna be like, oh, no one wants me. I mean, he's not gonna come off like a bitch. He's trying to be. He's a fucking motorcycle racer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and to my point earlier, maybe he's making the €1 million and he realizes I can only get a sub-tier ride for free or sponsor money, and that's just not worth it. I can just go here and.
He better be negotiating a better contract for next year, because there's no way he's making €1 million this year. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, man, get rid of Pole and get Zarco on that team. You know what I mean? For reals. Pole's got to go, and put Zarco on it and see what he can do. It's the first year with Michelin's. They're French. They'll give him secret time.
Oh, the trifecta. Tectois, Michelin,
and it's
Zarco.
Oh, God.
We got to start a petition. Dude, we got to start a petition.
Did you just describe a French three-way?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
French
about.
three-way. Menage a trois.
Right.
That just happened. Keep drinking.
Pole's contract is up, so if he doesn't pull something out crazy next year, that'll probably happen.
Well, and to that point, the funny thing is, you look at some of these guys, and they've all said in the past, I want out of Moto2 because it's so volatile and it's so dangerous, and I'm always at risk. And
unless you're Zarco,
it's a crapshoot.
But
you look at Zarco.
Yeah.
You look at Zarco, and the guy fucking dominates. He's like, I'll race here for the next 15 years and make some good money and keep winning. All good.
Well, and Luti said the same thing. Moto2 is not an expensive series to run. His team is able to run that series for a relative bargain price, and he gets paid a good salary, and he's continually front runner. You know what I mean? They've expressed interest in moving up to GP. It's just the cost barrier is simply too much for him.
Is he still?
Why would
Yellow Pages, right?
Right.
Someone else. I don't remember.
Paginus Amaryllis?
Yeah, there you go. Oh,
that's not Lucy's team.
No, that's
the Pons team.
That's right. That's
Rins. That's Rins and Homeboy.
Whatever.
Rins. I will say Rins is the new Maverick, and that's gonna be fun to watch too.
We've talked about that before, and we question whether or not he actually has more talent than Maverick, because they're both.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, well you don't. I think he does.
No, I think Maverick is. I think Echo Maverick is the guy. Is Rins got more talent? I don't think so. Only because Rins actually won a race yet?
Yeah. He
won one, right?
Yeah, I think so. But you know what the difference is? The difference is Vinales is smarter. After Rins took out what's his face with 30 laps left, Aguirre. It's like, dude, what were you doing? You were so much faster. Why were you so? He just wasn't smart enough, right? So maybe he learned from it, but generally speaking, I mean, that's what I see as the flaw right now.
Didn't Rins have, was it Rins or Vinales that or I'm sorry, yeah, or Maverick that had the best like start?
Maverick had scored the most points of anyone in Moto 2.
Over the whole season. Yeah, that's true. Huh?
I think it was the rookie season. First year in Moto 2, he broke the record for most points. He scored more than Marquez did in his opening year in Moto 2.
But he didn't win the championship. How's that possible?
Because he had a couple of crashes early on. He didn't. Well, I'm saying he won because the guy that won the championship wasn't a rookie.
Oh, yeah. You mean as a rookie he had the most points?
Yeah, he scored the most points of any rookie in Moto 2, with Moto 2 being considered a very difficult jump, and very few people have gone from Moto 3 to Moto 2 and done well in any way. Maverick was basically the first one, and Rins is the second. But Maverick had a way better season last year than Rins is having this year.
Minus Marky Mark.
Well, Marky Mark rode 125s, not Moto 3.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, so
And remember, Marky Mark was also straight up cheating.
with his
but last year,
quick shifter, come on.
Certain people were more dominant. There were more people in the series that were really good. This year it got a little depleted, right? I mean,
right. So I'm thinking. So what I'm saying is, Vinales had a better year last year against more with a more harder talent.
Yeah. Yeah, so Rins would have to pretty much win out the whole series to beat Maverick's point total. Because of that,
right.
If he wouldn't have been disqualified, it would have been considerably easier. He could have kind of podiumed out on the whole thing, but with
plus Maverick beat Rins straight up for the title in Moto 3. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but they were such kids back then. They're different riders now.
They were such kids 20 months ago.
Yeah. What do they wait? How old are either of them at the moment? Like
I don't know offhand, but I mean, I like Rins. I think Rins needs to be looked long and hard to move up, but I still think Maverick I think he's on the Suzuki, so it's harder to see, but I do think he's a ridiculous talent that's going to be blowing up MotoGP for a while.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of pulled what Danny Kent didn't want to pull, right? Because he got a 3-year contract on the Suzuki, and there's no real guarantee there of performance because Suzuki always comes in with something, they do okay, and then they just kind of
but dude, do you know what Vinales is making on the Suzuki each year?
No, have you heard?
Yeah, 3 million euros.
Nice.
For a year or for the whole?
Yeah, I think it's per year. I think
he's making $3 million a year, not for just salary, not including incentive, bonus, and his own sponsor things.
Right.
I think
his sponsors jumped up huge when he was a factory rider because of the exposure they get.
Dude, that's exactly it, right?
That's more than Cal made at Ducati and more than Dovi made his first year or two at Ducati.
Dude, he is a Spanish prodigy. He is going to make the money.
Damn.
Right. He's going to make $1 million for every hairline that he has.
That's right.
I wonder if how much did Marquez make when he first signed with HRC?
Not that much. That's my point. Think about this, right?
God damn.
Suzuki was going to do a factory deal, and they needed a new marquee rider.
Yeah.
Aleix was going to be their technical senior guy on the team, and this was going to be their up-and-comer like a Jack Miller. And they were like, we either get him or we don't get a good rider. We're willing to pay. They paid him through the nose. But to your point, they've got him for 3 years. And he's already doing a pretty good job, right? So you think. Tell me if you don't think in 3 years that Suzuki will be challenging for podiums. In 3 years. Maybe not next year, but the year after on the mission.
And he's so perfectly placed because he's a factory rider, and you tend to pull from that pool anyway. And he's going to be young and have plenty of experience.
He
can easily replace a Rossi if Rossi retires, and they think, shit, we'll take Maverick.
Well, to Yamaha, yeah, at that time after in the 4th year, right? But to that point, Suzuki's got him. So he's gonna, dude, I'm telling you, he's gonna do things. He's gonna do big things at Suzuki in year 3. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year. Suzuki's developing the bike. They're doing what they got to do. but you're going to see it change. Anyway, €3 million is big bucks, man, for a rookie.
Yeah,
Miller ain't getting that. What's Miller getting?
I hope that 3 million. The Pole's not getting anywhere close to that, but I hope that.
No, not Pole. Miller.
Oh, Miller. I have no idea. There's no way though for an HRC contract at a satellite open team.
They don't have the budget, but he's still probably getting a good chunk of change, right? Miller's probably still getting 500 to $1 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, it seems the minimum.
Well, yeah, because Miller's contract is direct with HRC. He's not paid by LCR or any of their sponsors. He's paid direct by HRC.
LCR might get him for free next year. If
because Honda will front the bill, right?
Yeah, exactly. But all right, we got to wrap this one up. It's been about an hour. So let's talk about Eric.
The big question is, does Rossi extend his points lead or does Lorenzo close the gap? It's been kind of yo-yoing for the past 4 or 5 races now.
No.
Did you see all the propaganda?
What propaganda?
Dude, Lorenzo, MotoGP, they're all talking about how he won at Aragon or how he's looking for his first win at Aragon or some bullshit. It's like, wow, that's all I've seen lately, but anyway.
Yeah, well, and they also talked about how he's been bitching about the flag rules as well. But whatever. No, the first question is it going to rain?
I hope so.
At Aragon?
Yes.
I'll vote no.
I'm gonna go with no as well, and then I'm going to say that Jorge pulls some points back, but I don't think he's gonna win.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's probably Marquez, Jorge, Rossi on the podium.
Yep. That's what I'm going with.
Everett. Yeah, it's definitely it's a Honda track, so Marquez should win. You might see a Pedrosa up there again, right? But
really, again, you say that, but really? I mean, he has – I don't know, man. I think we say the same thing. Why do we – what makes you think you'll see Pedrosa up there over Rossi?
It's going to be dry. It's Aragon with crazy tight turns and long straights for acceleration benefit.
Yeah, but there's that final corner that's like crazy corner speed, to carry off of those straights.
You know the drill, man. You don't develop your bike around one corner. You develop your bike around the entire track, and that track is pretty corner. I'm just saying it's pretty.
Just so you know,
the straights
in
are
13 races this year, Danny Pedrosa has beaten Rossi once.
All right, let's make a side bet. Pedrosa beats Rossi.
Hobo dollars.
No, I think you guys
That's
should put
crazy
real
to
dollars
think.
to barf on this one.
I'm looking at the standings now. The only time Danny Pedrosa beat Rossi in a race was in Germany.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I just can't do it.
So no real money.
The reality is, if I say that, he's gonna get a podium. So you should be like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no way that Pedrosa is beating all 3 of them, right? Like he's not going to get second.
I could see. I mean, play this out. You could see a Marquez, Lorenzo, Pedrosa, and Rossi end up battling, and because Rossi qualifies bad, gets a bad start, he gets stuck, he works his way up, he gets stuck with Pedrosa, and then it's a battle for them at the end, right? That's how I look at this, right?
But he's not going to get second though. There's no way.
Pedrosa? No, definitely not a second unless something random happens.
Yeah, so you're betting that Rossi's going to be off the box if you put Pedrosa in front of him. Again. And please do.
I don't know.
Please do.
To that point, what's his track record at Aragon? Not very good, right? It's usually either Marquez or Lorenzo.
It's terrible. It's the only place that he's never won at, and he's only got one podium. No, he's never won.
Come on, man. I just called it. Basically, I didn't even know it, and I called it.
Yeah, he's never won there or at Coda is the last 2 tracks so far. And
Coda's tough. Yeah, that's the Honda track for sure.
And Aragon, his best finish was a 3rd in 2013.
I would be shocked. And so real quick, I know we're wrapping up, but real quick, why is that? A guy like Rossi, why can't an Aragon work for him?
I think it's the suiting of the bike. When there was the talk about Honda versus Yamaha tracks, blah 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 blah, and it may just be that you got a guy. He was in Ducati for the first couple of years they were there, but you got a guy like Marquez who is faster outright on a bike more suited for that track, it's very difficult to overcome that.
God, I hate the fact that we don't even bring up the Ducatis anymore. It's like, do you think Iannone can get his head out of his ass? Do you think Dovi's got the confidence now
No,
to
you
be
know
in the
he
top 3
dislocated
again?
his shoulder again, so he won't be a factor.
He's out, right?
He dislocated it fucking running. He tripped.
Yep. There was.
This is why Rossi
I was
doesn't
out drinking
train.
with my buddies, getting hammered, and I fell over wrestling my friends in the alleyway. Right?
No, there was a
that's
thread
not.
on the Wera forum that it was like a crazy sex story. Like he was like flipping a girl over.
Yeah.
That sounds like something he would do.
Yeah.
He is Crazy Joe.
He is the maniac.
Fucking Joe. But yeah, I mean, with Aragon, like maybe Dovi will be able to get back into the mix. I mean, the bike is so different though, and they're kind of running out of. I don't think
Rip's
they've
got the
tested
horsepower
that.
for those straights.
The horsepower.
Yeah, I don't know if that's enough to get in there.
It's downhill into the final corner, but it's just
Still can't turn.
I just think right now it's be difficult. You got Marquez riding for pride alone, right? I'm just gonna fucking win races, and I'm pissed that I'm not in it. And you got Rossi and Lorenzo both knowing they have to ride at
Together.
the height of their game. And Rossi
together.
knows this is this is fucking the last chance, right, for a title. I mean, this is it. This is the end of the road for a title shot for the old man. He knows he's got to run every corner perfect.
Yeah, Michelin's, yeah.
Except for Michelin's.
But no, hold on. So to your point, I mean, even in the last race, right, they're pegged together. So in theory, they're going to know that and maybe play their cards where they don't take the risks. They just peg each other against each other. And that allows the other guys to go take the risks and get in front of them. So Adobe could, in theory, get in front of them if they're just kind of being idiots and playing it safe.
But see, I don't think they're pegged together now because the points discrepancy is too big. Lorenzo's got to win, and he's got to win big.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he's got to catch up. If he puts Marquez in between them, then that makes it all the sweeter for him.
So Rossi's gonna have a fucking mark on his back, and someone's gonna take his ass out, Kev. So
yeah, fucking Bautista.
You heard it here, Bautista.
Bautista got what? He got fourth.
We already have a contingency plan, though. You know for a fact that if that happens, Petrucci is taking out Lorenzo.
Yes, I would agree. That's true. They made a pact.
Right, you know Rossi told him after fucking what race we got the second that he told him, I didn't chase you down, you got second, you owe me. You know what I mean? And he's going to cash that in. If something happens, he's just straight running Lorenzo over.
All right, Everett, we didn't get your prediction, though. Are you putting Pedrosa in third, or are you putting Rossi in third?
I'm putting Pedrosa in third.
Yes.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you.
That is so great.
Oh, man. All right, guys. We got to wrap this one up.
It's like the entrance to Hogwarts, though. You got to believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We can't talk about Formula One, but you can talk about fucking Harry Potter. Come on.
Hogwarts.
Exactly.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening.
All right, whatever works. All right, good chat, guys.
And
all right, good hanging, Jobin.
Yeah, we will catch you after this next race. We will probably never talk about World Superbike, even though a lot of shit went down there. But
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Some guy won the title, I heard.
There was some crazy tire fiasco that, of course, only I followed. But whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Latest on the minge.
It's minor leagues. No one cares.
Yeah, exactly. AAA baseball. Who the hell watches that? All right. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.
Later, boys.